what is really aspired towards and what we really want to be.
Mhm.
And like this comparison of who you are and why you're trying to develop, and you in this developmental stage, because it becomes it becomes just like big this big gap, because you see people that are, you know, more finished than you are, or you see
Mhm.
people, of course, that have, you know, different genetics than you are, and you just begin to look at, you begin to compare, you begin to make like your own, I forgot what the word, forgot the phrase, you begin to make your own, uh you begin to make your own like psychosomatic choices, and your own like, you begin to make your own circles and your own like discourses within that time, and you begin to, of course, express what you like and dislike. So how society has like shaped all of that, society is just going to be influences, because environment does affect your output, and it does affect how you think. So
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of In Real Life. And today I have Michael. We went to school together. We went way back in the day. We not old, but we went to Renaissance together. And he is a dope artist. He does graphic design. And do you do animation too?
yeah, I do animation. There's some art behind me. Can't
Yeah.
really see it that well, but I do drawings and illustrations as well. So yeah.
Okay, so he does it all the artsy stuff. We love it. I wish that was one of my gifts that God gave me, but he didn't give me the drawing gift. So I'm like stick figure queen over here. Today I wanted to talk about body image from the men's perspective or a man's perspective because I'm gonna have an episode about women and body image a little bit deeper. I've already had one, but we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of it. So I did a post, like a poll on Instagram, and I wanted the men to answer. And to my surprise, a lot of men answered. I wasn't expecting that, but they was like, yep, yep, yep. So my question was, do men suffer from body image issues as much as women? And I think your answer was yes, if not more. I don't know if that was your answer or somebody else's answer, but somebody answered that. And
Hmm.
then Mike gave like a detailed answer. He DM'd me and gave me a detailed answer. So I was like, you know what? If you're comfortable, do you want to talk about this on my show? And he was like, sure.
Yeah, sure.
I know Mike to be a little bit shy, so that's why I asked if he was comfortable because I didn't want to get you out your comfort zone and definitely be respectful. So we're gonna get right into it. How do you think society shapes men's self-esteem and body image from childhood?
Oh, from childhood. Okay. Pretty much. So from childhood, it would come down to the perspective of what we really like sit down and consider men to just be. So like as we're as we grow up, I really just began to see like the stark differences between, okay, this is, what a girl should, not necessarily gender roles, but this is what, girls pretty much try their hardest to do. And this is what boys pretty much try to aim to do or try their hardest to do, especially like when it comes down to, whether it's competition or whether it's, better communicating with one another or just being social. So when it came down to just like body image, I saw that it wasn't primarily talked about amongst like boys growing up and men, unless it was talked about in terms of comparison towards one another. So, of course, like in middle school, it was,
That's where it all starts.
yeah, that's where it all starts. In middle school, it was, muscle size and like skin tone. Of course, you hear like, remarks about genitalia. um you hear you get a stark separation of like height in middle school, and then also you begin to like your body begins to form, and you begin to see things that you of course like, in the opposite sex, and then you get to see things that you become comfortable with within yourself. So as a like a preteen becoming a teenager, I really began to sit down and see that, and how society, of course, like within a local level, such as being at school, and then of course, like on a wider scale, like when I first got my phone, not a smartphone, people, whoever's young and watching this, um, when I first got my phone, it was it was this really stark contrast of like what is really aspired towards and what we really want to be,
Mhm.
and like this comparison of who you are and why you're trying to develop, and you in this developmental stage, because it becomes it becomes just like big this big gap, because you see people that are, you know more finished than you are, or you see
Mhm.
people, of course, that have, different genetics than you are, and you just begin to look at, you begin to compare, you begin to make like your own, I forgot what the word, forgot the phrase, you begin to make your own, uh like psychosomatic choices, and your own like you begin to make your own circles and your own like discourses within that time, and you begin to, of course, express what you like and dislike. So how society has like shaped all of that, society is just going to be influences, because environment does affect your output, and it does affect how you think. So for example, like I don't think I would ever became an artist if I didn't have like so many influential and creative people around me. Of course, in middle school and prior to middle school, but also in high school. So I knew for a certain fact that, okay, this is something that I really want to do. This is something that I know, like I feel is my destiny to do. Without that, of course, my thinking wouldn't have been shaped in that manner. So society really does play like a, a huge role, because oh man, like ice in my veins, like, and this is another strange example, but this is how my brain works. Ice in my veins, D'Angelo Russell, like when he started doing that, nobody really caught on immediately, but it literally represents like, okay, you cold in basketball, you got ice in your veins,
Mhm.
your aggression on the court is, unmatched, you cold, man. But it's like it didn't become super popular until it was placed on TikTok. And so like that's the influence that, uh, like basketball has on society and just popular culture, specifically, and how information can just spread fast. Because of course you look at the internet and how people carry their lives on the internet and the highlight reels that they present for people, it's going to, of course, affect somebody in another way, um, and how they feel and how they, should actually not be carrying themselves, because they should be looking at their life, as their own race, opposed to trying to, match somebody else's standard, or match other people's standard, or match this idealized way of trying to be, like physically. So I hope this is answering the question. Because like I mean, I have another example. Like I've done comic books in the past for clients, and people have like this idealized way that they want the man to look in a comic book: big built chest, six pack, strong arms, big legs, chiseled face, all that. And then they have a specified way that they want women to look. And one of my favorite artists, Adam Hughes, he actually described this really well in a foreword in this book called DC Cover Girls.
Mhm.
And basically it's the cover art of like a whole bunch of comic books
Mhm.
that, comic book creators have created over time. And he's one of the, like the most prominent like uh cover book artists, cover book of comic book artists. And he literally like boiled it down to like two words, and it was unfortunately sex sales. I'm thinking to myself like, yeah, it's true. People want people want this expectation, um And when it's implemented from like an early age, which comic books are aimed at, they're aimed at, kids that are like in that developmental stage, it's going to affect like your way of thinking. Um, and not everybody has the genetics in order to make it to that idealized, body shape and form. But you can most certainly try. I'm not saying that you should, or if that's going to make you happy, but ultimately you have to really look at, ultimately, I'm sorry, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. Ultimately, you have to really look at and examine why you would really want this in your life. Like, what is this really going to provide and bring to you, and how is this going to enhance your existence as a human being? So that's like when it comes to society and just like, the effect that it has on young people, or the effect that it has on men when you're growing up, you see all these images, just thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
You see all this rhetoric, in your face about, okay, this is what a man should look like. This is what a man should be like. This is how a man should act. Um, and of course, like, me, myself, believing in God, it's about, submission to God, and then also understanding that you're not gonna be perfect. You're not gonna be perfect. You're gonna try, but you're gonna fail. So
I like
uh
how you said that you compare yourself, especially, of course, it starts middle school, but I feel like high school is like the prime time where, like, by senior year, we pretty much, and contrary to popular belief, we don't fit, like, men stop growing and maturing at a later age than women do. I think it's like something like 23, 24 for y'all or something. It might be a little bit later than that, honestly. I will have to look that up. But women kind of, we pretty much start like 20, 21. We done. It might be a little bit before that too. But y'all, I like how you said finished. Like, you look, and by senior year, they look more finished than me. That was a nice choice. That was a nice wording. Finished, because that's what it feels like. It feels like, oh, well, they fitted, they where they supposed to be, or like, okay, they look like their grown up self now.
Mhm.
And as for me, speaking for himself, yeah, not finished yet. I'm still trying to figure out, are we finished? Are we not? Jesus, what's going on? So why don't you think that men talk about, like, body image? Why is it always, if it's brought up, it's always brought up in like a jokingly manner, like it's
Mhm.
banter, or somebody is getting teased.
Huh.
That's the only way y'all really kind of talk about it, but y'all not talking about it. It's like you're
Mm.
bringing up my possible insecurity and making fun of it without even acknowledging that it's that. But we're just gonna
Mhm.
laugh it off because we're men.
Wow. This is really Now that's a really good question. Um, because regardless, I think it's more so based upon, okay, this goes back to actually the poll. So
Mm-hmm.
you said that somebody said yes, if not more so.
Mm-hmm.
Uh Men, of course, struggling with body image. Um, I think yes, men do struggle with body image, and then men do have like body dysmorphia, but not to the same degree that women have it. And I unfortunately I don't care. Maybe I can be proven wrong, but maybe I'm like probably right on this. But women, of course, they have no choice but to struggle with it more so than men, because a lot of things for women are predicated off of their looks. Okay, see, there I have
That
one.
part.
I have
That
one. I got one in the house. All right.
part.
Um, Yeah, and the thing is like being the youngest of three children, I saw this between the difference between my brother and my older sister, my older brother and my older sister. So my older brother, he's 5 years older than me, and my sister is 4 years older than me.
Okay.
So there's a nice age gap. And so the thing is, I got to see those millennials develop into the adults that they are today. So when it comes down to you know, how they how they developed in front of me, and of course like the different choices that they made and the different things that they went through, of course like in their high school years, and of course when they went to college and after college. I saw this really stark distinction of how like men don't care about image something until it's I'm trying to phrase this properly, so it makes sense. Men don't really care about image until it's like a until it's pressing on them. If that make like if that makes any sense. Or it's better if I just explain and I go more so back to the core of the question. Um, question was um when why is it more so like bashing opposed to just being able to just like joking about it? Why do men just joke about it and stuff? Like, okay, going back to the early point, women, of course, more so of their life, everything things are predicated off their looks. Looks don't really matter that much for men. And I say that because, and I bring my brother and sister into that conversation, is because like I shared a room with my brother for like 11 years out of my life. I'm telling you, like until like he brought a girl over, he did not clean his room or he did not clean his side of the room. So I was like, why is it so important now?
Mhm.
All right. I mean, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but why is it so important now? And that's just that was more so just the bad habit of the person. Not everybody is like that, but it's not until it's overtly concerning. I think women just have this degree of natural degree, and of course like this natural thought process of, okay, it's predicated upon me to look good because this is going to not only affect how I see and perceive myself for the day or for the week, but more so how I how I'm presented, amongst like this small social setting circle, whether it be a family or like a complete, household or anything like that, or whether they go out into like, a social setting, they have to be able to present themselves in the best way possible in order to be regarded, even for, you know, I don't want to sit here and say half of what a man is capable for, because that would be inaccurate, but be regarded almost as equal to a man, because there's a lot of just there's a lot of just rhetoric around towards the capability of women and what they can and can't do, and a woman's looks actually helps propel her much farther than a man's looks would. So for anybody watching, I hope, like, if you go back and rewind, I hope that like makes any sense. But to get to the core of the question, from just having that point, men don't really care. I mean, and we don't care because, like, even if it strikes our insecurities, even if it hits like that soft point, even if it is, downgrading somebody else, and it might, be the same problem that they have, there's a sense of pride that's always associated with how we look at ourselves and how we look at each other, or how we look at ourselves and then how we look. Yeah, I said that right. How we look at each other, because it comes down to like, why aren't we talking about, why we got these body problems? Okay, like I'm 15 and I got this gut, and you know I'm playing football, but at the same time, like I know, like, I've been hit in the stomach, and I got layers of fat and muscle, but also at the same time it's like I don't want this gut. Why can I get rid of it? Or one of my friends now, his name is Walter. He's got ridiculously strong legs, and he's insecure about it because, of course, like he got to buy new pants every once in a while. It sounds like something out of SpongeBob, but he'll rip his pants.
That's
And the
funny.
thing is, it's like, that's you thick, baby. But
Hey.
yeah, you thick, baby. But like he he this is something that's insecure, and of course like he's able to talk about it because this is just more of a, an intimate setting, because it's between me and him. But he, like, I think that's another thing that's arising out of this question, is that we don't talk about it because we're not always comfortable to talk about it, because it's not seen as something that's important to men, like I said earlier.
Not seen as something that is important to me, and
Mhm.
that's a key right there. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
And like body image, like if you've already attained it, you have a sense of pride about that too. Like if you've already attained, like, these features that everybody, loves and enjoys. So like, say you were blessed with the genetic code to be 6'2", fair complexion, nice hair. I mean, all hair is nice in my opinion.
Mhm.
um but like, how people say nice hair.
Society's nice hair.
Yeah, society's nice hair. um you in shape, you got a fast metabolism, you you're regarded by your peers, you're regarded and respected by your peers, at any level, right? And you're just a generally likable person. Like you kind of have like a lot of things that people desire to be around.
Mhm.
And for somebody that has that, that's going to be a sense of pride for themselves. And so if they don't know and can't understand and fathom the experience of someone that doesn't have those things, whether it's not all of those things or none of those things, it's going to be it's going to get downplayed. The person, of course, without those things or without all of them, their experience is going to get downplayed, and it's going to be unfortunately talked about. And people, people, especially kids, they don't have no mercy. They don't have no mercy. Like me,
Not at all.
like me, like I have blonde hair. So
He does. He does.
yeah, I do have blonde hair. Like you can't see it. It's in the back. Um, yeah, that's yeah. And the funny thing is like growing up, that was just like something that made me distinct from the crowd. Like if I sat at the front of the class, like I had kids like throw stuff at me, trying to play target practice. And ooh, I wrote a paper about that. But that's beside the point. But the thing is like this is a this is a whole this is something that differentiates somebody, and then instead of like embracing that thing that differentiates them, it unfortunately,
It becomes
sets
ridiculed.
yeah, you get ridiculed for something that has made you unique. I mean, I'm not really, keen on like the whole special, everybody's a special snowflake.
Mhm.
I'm I mean, like we're all different, of course. We're all like similar and we have our own variations, but the thing is like human beings are really similar, and
Mhm.
we need to not we need to just stop trying to tear each other down and like pull each other up. And I've seen it happen so many times, time and time again. But
I like how you talked about, you know, society really the biggest there's so many differences between men and women as far as similarities too, as well as similarities. But I like how you pointed out that like a lot of things are predicated on the way that we look as a woman, and a lot of opinions about how a woman should look, she should dress, how she should speak, how she should walk. Like
mhm,
there is a whole other level of pressure on us continuously, that men just simply don't have to deal with, but demand. And that's the part that like blows me away because it's like I don't know if you've seen memes, but like women are getting fed up. It's like I posted something recently. I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny, but I also thought it was really true. And the girl was like, things that'll get men automatically blocked. And she said, when a man says like, "Well, can you cook?" and she was like, "Can you build a house? Can you change a tire?" Like
mhm.
these questions that get bombarded all day, every day with us,
Hmm.
and how it's hard to not be in yourself and be self-conscious because we're always presented as like a Barbie to the
Hmm.
world, like we gotta be Barbie. And I mean, Ken is there, but it's all about Barbie and how she looks and what she drives and what she does on that particular dial.
Yeah.
That's Barbie do everything. She like a doctor, a lawyer, everything, right? So,
Yeah. She's everything.
um, I never thought about it from that aspect of like y'all really don't think about it because it's not something that is constantly like shoved in your face.
Hmm.
But does that make it less important though? That's the thing. Like, does it make it less important? Like, do y'all feel like y'all should? Y'all do y'all actually have moments where y'all like, I don't really like this about myself,
Yeah.
but I can't really express that because like, does it come off as being feminine? Like, oh, dudes don't talk about that. Like, move on. It's life.
I think it goes back to what I said earlier a little bit, but you brought up something that's just like that brought up something else in my head. But it comes down to like one being able to have like I hate the phrase safe space to be able to talk with somebody about
I
that.
like that word. Why you don't like
Yeah.
that word?
Because safe space has so much like bad connotation,
Oh.
like in my opinion.
Hmm.
And of course there was a comic book that came out about this superhero called these two superheroes, they were twins, and it was called Safe Space, and it was just like
Interesting.
this push for LGBTQ
Oh,
and
okay.
like representation in comic books, but it was poorly written. I mean, like if it's poorly written, you got to just be like, okay, this is not good.
This is not good. Right.
But if it's written well, like Moonlight, that's an amazing movie.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Moonlight is an amazing movie. I don't care like if you gay, straight, bi, anything. You
That is so
yeah,
well put. Production
yeah.
is so well everything.
Yes. Everything about that movie is great. And I remember the first time I saw the trailer, but I'm getting off track. Um uh yeah, men don't really have like they don't they I mean for a time didn't have like that safe space to like get, feedback, or have the ability to just like sit down and talk with somebody, kind of vent it. A lot of people just recommend, hey, that's what your therapist is for, or that's what your boys are for, or like my brother who just got married last week, that's what your closest friend is for. That's not something you go to with somebody for information. That's not somebody you go to that could in a sense use that information against you, um or hold that information in any type of contrite against you. But you have to find like that space where you can like express those things, because it's gonna eat you, ooh, excuse me, it's gonna eat you alive if you don't.
That part.
Or you become kind of like this, it, in a sense, because I've experienced just a part of this from being a son and having a father in my life. My mom and dad, they've been married for plus 30 years. I just say, hey, y'all did it. um y'all got the formula right. uh but having my father in my life, like he was like a stoic kind of quiet guy.
Mhm.
And so the thing is like, did he always have that space where he can go and like talk about these things? Probably not. And that's probably why he just loved to work, go to work, found fulfillment in work, did his work, came home, wasn't angry, wasn't never came home with any type of bad habit. God-fearing man. But also at the same time, it's just like there was something that you could always see, just kind of like, if not under the surface, that he just sometimes he wanted to just talk about. And just as his son, like I can try and like create that space, but that's time and rhetoric that you have to give to somebody that's coming from a different time, and woo, a different time, a different space, era, lifestyle.
The battle of the
Yeah,
generation.
yeah, battle of the generation. So
Yes.
it's yeah, like those spaces have to be created. And quite honestly, on the internet, some of those spaces exist.
Mhm.
Discord channels, YouTube channels, but some people in those like spaces are a little butthurt from their past experiences. So they're going to, of course, either give feedback or express their ideology in a downtrodden way. So that's where I feel the internet is a little bit unfortunately one-sided, but the spaces exist. You sometimes just got to get to that space and get within a community in order to like express those things, so you can have that, so you can have those conversations that you need to have in order to sustain, the stability of this. So,
That's that's important. I feel like we should make more safe spaces for men to be able to express that side, because I don't feel like y'all don't completely, even though you make some very valid points about like this is not something that we really think about, but I feel like in the moments that you do think about them, you should
mhm,
be able to be free and not feel scared, because I feel like that's kind of a fear thing too. Like you don't want to be made, even though you're being made fun of already. You don't want to be made fun of
mhm,
about feeling away about a feature that you most likely cannot change.
mhm,
Because most of the time, it'd be like height. I think that's the biggest one for men, to be honest. We
mhm,
don't keep it a book. Like I can't change that genetically. My genetic makeup
mhm,
made me this. So why are we talking about it? I'm just thinking about old things from high school that I remember that were ingrained in my brain, and like being like, dang, you really like I know you was joking, but you ain't have to go that far.
mhm.
You didn't have to do that. So yeah, I thank you for being open and honest and having this conversation with me.
It's
So much more to get into, but I just want to dig into it a little bit more.
yeah,
Is there
it's
anything else that you wanted to say about it?
um just about that question or just at
Or
all,
no, just in general, just
just
about.
in general.
Mhm.
um you're a work in progress. Like people are works in progress, even to the day they die. So I mean, hey, you in my honest opinion, like when it comes to like how you feel about yourself or just like how you view yourself as a man, of course, like when it comes to image in society, quite honestly, you have to get out of your own way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you really have to get out of your own way to be able to like think for yourself and what you're comfortable in attaining and having. Because this is it's just a constant battle. Um, well, not constant, but you'll always come back to this point of being like, okay, I'm inadequate when you aren't. And then also at the same time, it's just like for men, a lot of things are just competition. So, and I think I made mention to that in the DM response. I like the, of course, like Instagram, I would have wrote you like pages because I would have had the time to like sit down and think, but like you got a character count in Instagram. So uh
That's the thing. Like,
yeah.
okay, as you mentioned earlier, women are predicated on it looks. Men are really, I wouldn't say predicated on competition, but competition is like the looks thing for us.
Hmm.
Like everything, like you, from the beginning of time, y'all come out the womb and y'all are pushed into the competition of life. Y'all start with competition as kids. Ooh, I bet I can race faster than you. I bet I can run faster than you. Like it just starts with little stuff, and as we get older, the competition gets a little bit more
Hmm.
glittery. But it's like that's not something like a competitive woman is kind of like, why are you doing that? Like what? why are we it's girl power over here? Why are we competing against one another? As to where men, that's kind of just like natural for y'all, which is I can guess exhausting.
Yeah,
if you let it be, you know.
yeah. Like you just it's your own race at the
Mhm.
end of the day. I mean, like in general, speaking generally, it's your own race at the end of the day. Um, and that's what that's what your early 20s, I think for anybody, you should learn, like go at your own pace, go at your own speed. If you got to work two jobs and just like, disappear for months at a time, do you. You got to take your social media down. Hey, you got to like literally just cleanse your mind and just read more. Hey, it's your own race. Yeah.
That's
But
true.
that competing thing is like for women, it's more so it's more so looks, and then like of course men competition, just like what men are expected to either provide, and like that question you mentioned earlier, like can you cook, clean, can you fix a toilet, change a tire, build a house, like both of those things are like provision things,
Mhm.
but they should kind of more so just be standards opposed to things that we can just, yeah, opposed to things that we could just,
That part.
you expect those people to have those, you know have that down pack because of their gender. That's just kind of,
Yeah.
I like to cook. That's
Here's the
that's just
thing.
me.
Like basic necessities is washing clothes, cooking, cleaning. Just those
Mhm,
three. Let's just focus on those three because the average woman is not gonna really know how to fix a faucet. Let's just be honest. Like that's really more of like society has put that on a man. Like be the fixer,
mhm.
you know. But we talk about basic necessities. Like you gotta eat in order to survive. Why
Yeah.
don't you know how to do that? Why don't you know how to fold clothes? Why don't you know how to change sheets? Like, why don't you know how to do these basic things in order to live?
Hmm.
Because again, that's something that like is predicated on the woman. Like you gotta learn how to. It's just like I feel like eating that should just be a normal basic necessity for anybody. I'm
If
not
you
saying
like,
everybody got to be a chef,
if
but
you like to eat, you should know how to cook.
if
That's if you
you
like to
want to
eat.
eat, you should know how to cook.
If you like to eat, you should know how to cook. I don't care if you skinny, you big. If you like to eat, you should know how to cook. In my opinion, it should be good too.
Right? Not just like survival mode, you know?
Mhm.
Like you
Yeah. No ramen noodles. No,
right.
boiling water. You should know how to whip something up with some spices,
Spicy.
recipe or not. You should know this. You should know how to do that for yourself. You should know that you need some veggies on that plate, some rice, or
Balanced diet.
protein. Come on. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mike, for doing this. I appreciate you. It's gonna be a good one. I can't wait for the people to see it. And until next time on In Real Life, thank y'all. Peace.